It sounds similar to Smoke in the Water.
She might be doing Smoke in the Water. I don't know. And we are live with another episode of BS Busters. And, I mean, hell, we're back. We're back! But with that being said, before we go any further, let's have everyone introduce themselves, starting with the lady, and then going to the gentleman, and then the other gentleman, and I'll round it out. So, ladies first.
Well, for just welcome to the BS Busters Movie Podcast. I am Joel Ray Monster, and we got some interesting to talk about from the past.
Yes. Kenoshi?
Still got it.
Kenoshi Abominito. Glad to be on another one of these BS Busters.
All right. Pinky?
And this is Pinky Dog from Video Game Facts, and currently I'm having a bit of trouble with my computer's voice boxes, so I'll probably need to replace them sooner or later.
The voice box or your webcam?
Not the voice boxes.
Your microphone, you mean?
Not my microphone, but yeah, where I can hear the sounds of what's going on my computer.
If you can hold out till Black Friday, you might be able to get a decent laptop that can let you, do cool stuff. But that's neither here nor there. It's me, Mr. Red Fox, owner and proprietor of BS Busters, and we're back. And this time we're talking all about nostalgia. Nostalgic video games, nostalgic cartoons that need to be brought back in some way, shape, or form in honor of all the old shit that they keep on bringing back. So without much ado, let's get into the first topic, which is let's reminisce about old third and fourth gen properties that just haven't that really need to be brought back, or at least in some way, shape, or form. So who wants to go first?
I'll probably take this one easy. It's probably an obvious one. Ogre Battle.
Too
soon?
No, I love it. I mean, you'd have to get it from Square Enix because they bought the rights to it, but I'd be down with it.
I asked too soon because I remember that somebody that has been tried on the N64, which is kind of. I thought it would count still.
No, Ogre Battle 64 was good. I mean, basically, Ogre Battle started on the SNES. It was basically like Ogre Battle was basically if you took Fire Emblem, but instead of having individual units, it's more like you're moving armies around the field. So it's like a grander scope type of battling. And there's like Fire Emblem is all about the weapons triangle and how individual units interact with each other. Ogre Battle.
That would be Fire Emblem, right?
Yeah, that's Fire
Ogre
Emblem.
Battle is a different style, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you're controlling armies, and you have to be aware of alignments and fatigue and how units do different types of units do well on different types of terrain. So get a bonus for fighting on this type of terrain or that type of terrain, and if you're on a higher elevation than your opponents, you get a defensive or offensive bonus. There's a lot of small stuff in Ogre Battle that you don't have to think about in Fire Emblem, typically speaking.
In short, while Fire Emblem is an army, Ogre Battle is like a commander with millions of armies.
No, Fire Emblem is unit skirmishing. Ogre Battle is you're commanding an army, which is a larger.
I was trying scope of you being the controller and you having to work with other Fire Emblem has you controlling unit by unit and calling army, while Ogre Battle is having millions of platoons at your command and you controlling them.
Not really. I mean, because the most powerful unit you have in Ogre Battle is your legionnaires, and legionnaires basically have the ability to, like, their strength. Like your army units in Ogre Battle are like they start out as your weakest unit because they're your base unit, but the more powerful your overall, like all the units that make up your army are, the more powerful the soldiers are. So basically, and the legionnaire stats get boosted from the soldiers. So if you have all your other like normal units, your soldiers, your Amazons, your wizards, your dragons, your like all your units, if everyone else is strong, then your soldiers are strong, which means your legionnaire, which is the most powerful unit in the game, is like god level, just ass kickery. So it's grand scope type stuff. And then they fucked it up because the guy who created Final Fantasy Tactics made the sequel. He created Tactics Ogre, which is basically Final Fantasy Tactics 0.5. Like, it's the precursor to Final Fantasy Tactics.
I enjoy Final Fantasy Tactics. I mean, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, mind you. I still know that Ogre Battle might be good to see it come back in some way.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I like Ogre Battle, but Final Fantasy Tactics is very different from Ogre Battle, and when they did that, it kind of messed it up, which is why the third game in the series, Ogre Battle 64, went back to the core gameplay of Ogre Battle, which is where you're commanding units, you're commanding squadrons, which are 1 to 5 units in a squadron, and then sending them out to fight other enemies in skirmishes. And it's grand strategy. Like, you actually have to think about a lot of factors are involved, not just I'm higher level than you, because sometimes you can face enemies that are lower level than you and get your ass kicked because your units are fatigued because they've been marching like for 3 days straight.
I see. I was gonna say, so even if you got a bigger weapon, you can get stomped by performance issues.
Yeah. Oh, like I said, Ogre Battle is a grander strategy game. Like Fire Emblem is good, but it's more like micro strategy, whereas Ogre Battle is more macro strategy. So it's grander shit going on. But they're both good, but it just it requires
they got
different
their flavors.
Yeah. Kenoshi, you have any nostalgic 3rd or 4th gen game that you're like, man, they need to bring that shit back?
3rd or 4th gen, that's the NES and the SNES, or is that?
Well, I mean, 3rd or 4th gen, just from the 3rd or 4th gen. So you can go with Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx 16. Hell, you can even use Neo Geo because that was technically a 4th gen system.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, because all the games I can think of are games that I don't really wish to see a remake of.
I mean, not a remake, just like Resurrected or a new installment or something.
Say new Mario RPG. Legends of the 7 Stars.
I would like that.
Yeah, go back to that formula.
Yeah, I would like another Mario RPG. Like, if it was a legit Mario RPG, I would be cool with that.
Yeah.
Like, I would be.
They were planning to do a sequel to Super Mario RPG, but then it ended up being Paper Mario in the end.
Yeah, because Square Enix got Sony's dick up their ass. And they liked it, and they were like, "Yeah, well, fuck Nintendo. We don't need you anymore. We got Sony. We got the Sony teat to suckle on."
Yeah, how did that go?
It didn't go well. that teat dried up. But sorry to be a little bit vulgar, but that teat dried up. But basically, yeah. What do I think about? Yeah, I'd love like if since Square Enix seems to be getting a little bit more chummy with Nintendo these days, why not? Why not a proper Super Mario RPG 2? Except now that the technology's there, could you imagine a Super Mario RPG where they use that claymation engine they had from
Yes. Oh, you mean from Kirby's?
yeah, yeah,
Kirby's Dream
where they
Course?
because they tried to do that on the SNES, but the technology wasn't quite there. But the technology's there now. You actually made a sequel, same art style, but now the technology can make it look like it's actual claymation, except for Mario, who is Mario. That shit would be awesome. Where you have party members and levels and the level roulette. So when you level up, you can choose which stat to make grow a little bit more than usual, so that you can customize your character.
Now that I do think about the graphics, they were trying to make it look as playish as possible, weren't they?
Yeah, and that's why I said they keep the same. Bring back Malo and Gino, and plus new characters, Bowser. Princess Peach. Hell, put Captain Toad in there. except
yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Except it's like Captain Toad, but it's not the Captain Toad it's the other Captain Toad, the guy who was in charge of who was the police captain in Mushroom Town. Who, like, man, I would have taken him if I had my bazooka, but actually finally give him a bazooka. He's like some Koopas try to invade the town. He's like, not today, motherfucker. Except he doesn't curse because Nintendo pulls out his bazooka and blows their asses away. Yeah. Princess Peach approved our defense budget, so we actually have weapons now instead of just running around for our lives.
If only she would
give the
more.
Toads a chance to shine.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that. Maybe have the game be split into two parts where, like, you could call it Smitty's Revenge. Because the whole point in 7 Stars is that Smitty comes down, breaks the star road.
Breaks Star Road.
Yeah, so people's wishes aren't being granted, and invades the Mushroom Kingdom. But I mean, the implication is that they're aliens, right? Like all of these, they're aliens from outer space. So wouldn't it be interesting? You destroyed this alien bad guy. So I mean, someone chased this motherfucker to the Mushroom Kingdom, to this world. Who's bad enough? Because the dude seemed pretty badass. Who chased that motherfucker down there? You could make an entire game about that.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, who the beep would make somebody run and their ride is a sword?
Mm-hmm. But I would Smitty, evil Santa Claus, as I like to call him. That'd be cool to me. Maybe bring back Gino, except like Gino, like the game starts out like your typical RPG where they think they're badass, but they get their asses kicked, so that everyone has to get upgraded. So Gino gets an upgrade, like like everyone gets an upgrade. Plus, maybe add some new characters.
Yeah, it's not bad having the old crew back, but hey, give us work with too.
Well, I mean, the only reason I say have a bigger cast is because if they did a proper sequel and you had the same characters, it would get a little stale.
I was gonna make the joke that it would be Final Fantasy 5, or is it 4?
No, 4-2. Final Fantasy 4-2 basically had essentially the same cast, because you had the son of shit, I forgot her name. The cleric chick in Final Fantasy 4, and Cecil. and then you had a lot of the same characters popping up. And Golbez, it's like kind of messed up. It's like, why are you have the same cast, basically? Have some new characters. Because Final Fantasy's 4 cast isn't strong enough to where you could carry the same characters forward and it would be interesting.
thank you for the correction. Since I was in Fantasy 5 or 4 that the repeat.
Final Fantasy 4. It was for the after years, which proves that Final Fantasy games should not have sequels. Like if you do a sequel to a Final Fantasy game, that's when I knew Final Fantasy was in trouble, when they did a sequel to Final Fantasy 4. Because I'm like, I mean, if I was gonna do a sequel to a Final Fantasy game, it wouldn't be Final Fantasy 4. It'd be like Final Fantasy 6 or 5.
Yeah, though if anything, see, Final Fantasy 4 after years, that was a weird time.
Yeah.
10 2 was a transition, a very painful transition, and 13 2 turns.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to say it without being vulgar.
But none of the Final Fantasy sequels were that good. Like, Final Fantasy is a series that doesn't do well with sequels. So I don't know why they keep on trying to do it. We need 13-2. No, we don't. No one wants a sequel to this game. Seriously, no one.
As I said, 4 was a weird... 10 was during a transition period. And 13 and 2 and Lightning Returns? Oh, gods.
It's kind of like this. No one asked for a sequel to for a fourth Indiana Jones movie. Because, I mean, the trilogy had been wrapped up. We did not need any more Indiana Jones movies. It's like, we don't need it. Like, it's unnecessary. That's not a universe we need to explore anymore. Like, because literally, the end of the Indiana Jones trilogy is Indiana Jones, his father, Brody, forgot the guy's name, John Rhys Davies, forgot. He played Boromir in Lord of the Rings. Like, they ride off in the sunset on horseback. That's like the perfect ending, with the classic Indiana Jones score going down in the background. You can't top that ending. You can't. There's no way you can top that ending. So we don't need it. We don't need another one. We're done. We're good. I don't need, that was the perfect way to end that trilogy. But yeah, I agree with you, Kenoshi. That would be pretty good. Anyone else have a?
I haven't picked mine yet. Mine will have to be Clay Fighter.
Okay. Now, would it be a straight beat 'em up, or would it be a straight 2D fighter, or would you go like a beat 'em up?
I was about to say, would you go Tekken or Street Fighter style?
Probably beat 'em up at this point, because it'll need to differentiate itself from the other 2D fighters with some kind of gimmick other than the claymation animation style.
Actually, they could keep with that gimmick if they went all the way with the claymation. Like, as your clay fighter took damage, their clay got deformed and just started looking raggedy. Like, if like you took so much damage, you just started to degrade as the fight went on. That would actually be a cool gimmick. Environmental destruction.
Or like the lower HP they have, the weaker their moves are. Because of the damage. Because of the damage part.
Yeah, and their moves like visibly get weak. Like Blue Suede Goo, who looks like Elvis, as he takes damage, his pompadour gets limp, and he gets like he starts looking raggedy, and his clothes start looking all messed up and shit, and smudged because he's failing. Like, that'd be an interesting mechanic, and maybe give them a desperation move they can use, like when their health is really low, to kind of something like that. I mean,
even the playing field.
Mm-hmm. Although, to be fair, I was never that into Clay Fighter, personally. But I know a lot of people like it, so,
Yeah, I mean, Clay Fighter is one of those weird games that because it is so out there. And
it was the art style.
Yeah, I mean, you probably got some kicks out of some of the game here yourself. You had 63 and a third.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, the only good thing about 63 and the third is that if you have that game nowadays, it is very rare. Very rare and very expensive. If you have that game, you can, it's like worth like, and it's not a repro.
Millions?
If you have the original, well, not millions,
Thousands.
but it's worth like, if it's in good shape, like between $3,000 and $5,000. If you have the cartridge, the box, the case, and the manual, oh boy, that shit. That like
You are sitting on gold.
5,000 to 8,000. If it's unsealed and legitimate, like 10,000.
Hell,
Yeah, it's game collecting ain't no joke. Okay, Weister20 says that John Rhys Davis played Gimli. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I'm not a big fan of the Lord of the Rings movies. Not because I'm a Tolkien head, but because I'm not a Tolkien fan. So, I was like, I'm not interested in a film about the Lord of the Rings. Plus, when I heard that those movies were like 3 hours long apiece, I was like, fuck you, no. I do not. I never. The only movie that I'll watch that's over 3 hours long, if you watch it like legitimately, is The Godfather's Part 1 and 2. Like if you watch the fan edit where it's spliced together chronologically from Vito Corleone leaving Sicily, coming to America, all the way up to Michael becoming a villain in The Godfather Part 2. That movie's like 7.5 hours long. That's the only film I'll sit down and watch the whole way through. But other than that, I don't want to watch any movie that's 3 hours long.
something
Yeah,
as
that's
long as it's
practically a whole
Titanic.
work shift.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're really into The Godfather, like really into it, it's totally worth it. It's like, oh man, it's not something I'd watch every month, but every once in a while, you got some free time, you want to watch a good movie, sit down and watch it. I mean, it's The
I can understand
Godfather,
that.
man. It's one of the greatest movies of all time.
That's a long ass time to be. So then again, it at least is more entertaining.
Hell,
And I mean that movie that was 4 hours long.
Hell, it's about as long as if you watch the fan edit of the original Star Wars trilogy, where it's just like where they cut out the preamble between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, because basically they're all spliced together. So you don't have to. So it's not like it's like you don't remember what happened in A New Hope, really. Like, and it's about. I mean, it's about 6.5 hours long. So you know.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're really into it, you're really into it. Hell, people have played video games for longer than that. If you sit down and play a video game for longer than that.
It's just that, if anything, I was trying to imagine enduring a movies for so long.
I mean, it's not like, I mean, you know, I mean,
Games
I've seen
are one
it
thing, movies are another.
or read a book. I mean, it's about the same. You're doing an activity that requires your attention except movies are actually easier because it's passive attention. Reading, you have to read, and video games, there's a lot of like
eye coordination and pattern recognition.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you got to do. Whereas a movie, you're just passively sitting there. Only thing you really got to worry about is if you're in a movie theater, because I have a friend who owns a movie theater, and sometimes he'll put on these little special showings for stuff like that. And he has to have intermission. Like, he'll stop the machine, and like you have like a 10-15 minute intermission where people go use the bathroom. I mean, hell, I saw Planet Terror and Death Proof, and that was like a 4 hour and 20 minute movie. But it had an intermission, so you could, like, in the middle of it, where they had these fake trailers like Thanksgiving and Machete, which they eventually, Thanksgiving. If you ever get a chance to watch Planet Terror and Death Proof, like the definitive theater cut, where it's like one big movie, like Grindhouse Cinema type thing, and some of those trailers were turned into movies, like Machete. And Thanksgiving. I think Thanksgiving was turned into a movie. It's kind of fucked up. And of course, Machete, which I just mention because they actually did turn that into a movie. They turned that into a trilogy by itself, Machete. But that's neither here nor there. So Pinky went, Kanoshi went, Jewel went. I guess it's my turn. Jewel took one of mine, but that's okay. I'm gonna say, yeah, I always got another one. I'm gonna say Lufia. Lufia would be a nice little return to like those types of RPGs. Because the thing about Lufia was that Lufia had the puzzle solving of a 2D Legend of Zelda game, but it also had like the concepts of a core RPG, like a core turn-based JRPG, which I liked. And the story is kind of interesting. Like, don't let the art style fool you, where the art style of the game's kind of kiddie. Because the stories of Lufia games are dark as fuck. Like, it's like, damn, this is kind of fucked up, you know. Which I like. Because, you know, it's kind of interesting to see these little big head, super deformed characters talking about, oh, I got married and I had a kid, and the girl who thought she loved me, who had a crush on me, she you know, we don't wind up getting together. And it's like, it's interesting to have these little dynamics of these little super deformed characters who look like they should be in Pokemon or some shit. Like, it's not the Pokemon, the characters in a 2D Pokemon game. Like, it's like, damn, that's kind of, you know, that's kind of weird. But yeah, I would love to see another Lufia game. The last Lufia game we had was Square Enix's shitty, after they bought the license from Atlas, they made this shitty remake of Lufia 2, Rise of the Sinistrals. And it was terrible. Oh god, it was terrible. Because Lufia, like I said earlier, was basically a turn-based dungeon RPG game that had the puzzles in the dungeons like you'd see in a Legend of Zelda game, a 2D Legend of Zelda game, but it was, you know, a JRPG. And they turned that into an action game where none of the puzzles in dungeons or anything. It was dumb as shit. And it flopped.
And speaking of remakes, how's that Romancing Saga 2 remake?
Well, I mean, it's not bad. It's just, like, here's the thing. Romancing Saga 2 isn't even the best Romancing Saga game in the series. The best Romancing Saga game, like, of the 16-bit era is Romancing Saga 3. They're re-releasing that with some extra dungeons and characters and scenarios, which is cool. I like that. It's going to be on PC, Switch, PS4, Xbox One. They're also,
it's reaching everywhere.
Yeah, they're also doing a re-release of they're also doing a re-release of Romancing Saga Scarlet, or is that a new game? I can't remember. It, like, basically after the Romancing Saga that came out on the PS2, where it was just a fucking board game because Square Enix was so fucking cheap. Like, Square Enix basically, once they merged with Enix, they put all their money into Final Fantasy, to the detriment of all these other RPG franchises that could have been just as big as Final Fantasy.
I wasn't sure if I heard that right.
Yeah, they put
what?
Once Square Enix merged, once Squaresoft merged with Enix, they put all of their money into Final Fantasy. Like, all the money went into Final Fantasy to the detriment of the other RPG franchises that were under the roof. It's kind of like, you guys know about Motown, the story of Motown?
I was gonna put it more like putting it on one horse to win. Odds are not looking so smooth.
I wouldn't go that far. Okay, basically, the story of Motown is this. Berry Gordy created Motown, which was a music label in Detroit, Michigan. Or, if you're from that area, Detroit, Michigan. Detroit, not Detroit.
Ugh.
Detroit. Look, if you ever see someone say, I'm from Detroit, Michigan, don't fuck with them because they will beat the shit out of you. But yeah, basically, he put all of his resources into pushing like one or two artists every few years. And his hit artist was Diana Ross. The problem at the time was that while Diana Ross was good, there were so many other really talented people at Motown that could have been just as big as Diana Ross, and they would have had more hits, like Stevie Wonder, like the Funk Brothers. I think Aretha Franklin recorded some stuff with them. Like, they had all of these really notable acts that just didn't get a fair shake because they put everything behind Diana Ross. Well, that's the problem with Square Enix, is that when Squaresoft and Enix merged, they put all their money behind Final Fantasy. Now, Final Fantasy is not a bad franchise, but the thing is, when you've got Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Lufia, Ogre Battle, Romancing Saga, and those are just the ones off the top of my head. There's other RPG franchises that Square Enix has under their belt that they did nothing with. They put everything behind Final Fantasy. And they're like, well, Final Fantasy VII was successful. Final Fantasy VII was successful because if you adjust for inflation, like, Sony put $500,000 into marketing Final Fantasy VII.
Which is redonkulous.
Yeah, adjusted for inflation, putting over $500,000 into marketing a game is fucking ridiculous. But you know, what are you gonna do? So, because no other Final Fantasy game has managed to surpass the sales numbers of Final Fantasy VII yet. So, you know,
I was going to officially they haven't, and with how much marketing budget, it's hard to see anything topping that.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VIII didn't, Final Fantasy IX didn't, Final Fantasy X didn't, Final Fantasy 12 didn't, Final Fantasy 13 didn't, Final Fantasy 15 didn't. No Final Fantasy has been able to outsell Final Fantasy VII. Why? Because no Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy VII managed to appeal to as big a market as Final Fantasy VII, because it was the first 3D Final Fantasy, and Sony spent over $500,000 marketing the shit. Okay? Fooling people. Oh, it's a PlayStation exclusive. No, it was on... I know it was on PC, and I think it was on the Saturn as well. Here, let me look that up. Because I don't want to be wrong. Final Fantasy VII... Yeah, it was on PC. Shit, it doesn't tell me how many consoles it was on. But I mean, it was basically, it was on multiple systems, and you know, I mean, hell, although it sold the best on, you know. But anyway, yeah. So yeah. I guess we can move on to the next topic. If anyone have anything else they want to, any other game that they think from the 3rd or 4th gen they think needs to be brought back?
That's a hard call without going into certain topics, but I think we cover them good.
I got one more I'm just going to throw out there, but not elaborate. Adventure Island. Okay, there you go.
Enough said.
Yeah, enough said. Adventure Island. I'll bring back Master Higgins. Free Master Higgins! Okay, so now we're moving on to which nostalgic cartoon or property needs to come back? Since everyone's bringing everything back these days, no one comes up with anything new.
Yeah, and this is brought up because of life.
Yeah, Rocko's Modern Life got a movie. So did Hey Arnold. So did...
And Invader Zim was getting one next.
Who? What?
Invader Zim.
Yeah, Invader Zim. Because we never got closure to that saga. So, what other 80s or 90s cartoon would you like to see come back in some way, shape, or form? Who wants to go first?
I'm gonna be the weird.
I would like to see Pirates of Dark Water brought back so they can so we can finally conclude the story.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Joel?
I would go weird with Doug's.
Doug?
At least see at least to see about at least so that's probably just me going field.
Did you say Doug?
Yes, and I said that's way left field.
No. No, I think it's kind of funny because actually that would be kind of funny. We could discover will Doug Funny ever get with Patty Mayonnaise? Will Patty Mayonnaise ever develop any breasts with her flat ass chest? Well,
I'm trying not to laugh because
will Roger ever get? Will Doug
seriously,
ever?
I
Beat,
thought at least. Oh God.
will Doug ever? Will Doug ever beat the shit out of Roger Plotz? Well, will Mr. Dink ever run out of money because he keeps on spending all his retirement money on expensive shit that no one needs? Will his wife divorce him for doing this? Will Porkchop get old and will they show an episode where Doug has to put Porkchop down because he's old and arthritic and tired and just puts him down, just like, I'm sorry, boy. Will these things ever happen? Will the bitch that is Judy ever get her comeuppance? This and more in the Doug Returns. Doug Returns, the cartoon.
I was going to say, if anything, a movie to have some beeping closure.
Well, at least the closure would be that I'm serious about that Patty Mayonnaise thing. He's like, I like Patty Mayonnaise. She has zero features that show she's a girl except for her voice. Jesus Christ, Doug, you have zero. I mean, Doug's not a prize himself, but god damn, Jesus.
You know what they say, Mr. Red Fox? Flat is justice.
No, man. Patty Mayonnaise was a carpenter's wet dream. She was flat as a board.
Oh. I still get the joke.
But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Kenoshi?
Let's see, Kenoshi, what is your pick? Joel and I already picked ours.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have one for this category just because of the fact that I don't really care if this stuff.
I find it kind of funny because I think he's the youngest out of all.
Okay, I got one. Except I'm gonna go a little dark with it, but I don't care. I have two choices. Okay, two choices. The first one, it's gonna be kind of straightforward, but the second one's gonna be a total perversion of what it used to be. Gargoyles. Bring back gargoyles. Keith David is still alive. Keith David is still alive. Keith David's voice is so deep that just hearing him talk makes you grow chest hair, even if you're a woman. Like you'll feel your testosterone go up. Your facial hair will grow. You'll be like, I feel that I'm becoming more masculine even as I speak. My beard is coming in. I feel like a man. And Gargoyles was a really good show because it dealt with real issues. It dealt with racism, sexism, people who go against people who are gay, who are different. It dealt with a lot of
over the board.
It dealt with a lot of really dark, real shit issues in a cartoon, like a fucking cartoon. And they was like talking about like gun violence and stuff like that. It was insane. It was insane. And I think that could be brought back and relatively easily today, if you knew what you were doing. So now here's the one where I'm totally this would never happen, but I would personally love it. You could never put it on TV. I would like to see Captain Planet come back, cause like Captain Planet made us want to be environmentally conscious and recycle and do basic simple things in order to save the environment. And like we know so much, the science is so much better than it was back then, that we know more about how to save the environment and do stuff like that now. And it's critical now because it's important.
And with recent events, the world now needs Captain Planet more than ever.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But with that being said, I think it should be made like this is the time we need to call Zack Snyder, because I would like to see a Captain Planet reborn, but I would like to see him violently kill the environmental polluters, like oil executives. So you like oil? I'm gonna take I'm gonna take this gasoline and make you drink it. No, it doesn't go there. Yeah, drink the fucking gasoline. I would like to see Captain Planet kill these people. In horrifically violent ways.
Actually, I thought you would go a little bit kinder by having them bathe in gasoline and.
No. That's the thing. Like, someone's like, yeah, nuclear power. Yeah, nuclear power is great. It's gonna be even better when I lock you in this reactor room and turn it on. And I mean, I know that's really dark, but I don't like when, I mean, like, here's the thing, okay? It's not like we have the technology to leave the planet after we pollute it to the point where we can't clean up the mess.
I was going to make this, I was going to make the comment that with how some of these people act, I'm surprised that these haven't gotten the Batman treatment. Well, actually, worse than Batman treatment. That's why.
I know that's kind of rough. But in all seriousness, though, it would be kind of interesting to bring back Captain Planet. Maybe go deeper into the mythos of it. You could have a new generation of Planeteers, like have the old Planeteers pass it on to a new generation. The rings go out to new people, and Whoopi Goldberg is still alive. Jeff Goldblum is still alive, so he could come back as.
There's a number of.
I forgot the guy's name.
There's a number of people that are still able to carry on the rings.
Yeah, almost everyone can play the same characters except for the guy who played Dr. Blight's AI Mel, because that was Tim Curry, and Tim Curry's dead. So no Tim Curry. No Mel, but you can bring back all of them. Maybe make it a little bit more violent. Maybe have Captain Planet, when he fights Captain Pollution, get a little bit more rough with him, because fuck him.
They could perhaps give us a new villain that's supposed to be an XP for Donald Trump.
Well, they already had that. It was Hoggish Gridley. He was a fat fuck who'd do anything for money. I mean, look, with a bad hairdo. A fat fuck with bad hairdo would do anything for money?
I was thinking more like a villain who was working behind the scenes on all the government, on an official government.
Yeah, but that takes brains, and you can't do a good allegory for Donald Trump.
Characters that do not have the mindset for it.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. But that's neither here nor there. I would love to see Captain Planet brought back. They could keep the same theme song. LeVar Burton is still alive, so you can you could still have him be shit, I forgot his not Mati. Shit, I forgot his name. I forgot the character's name.
Okay, how about having one of the recurring villains be president in the future? In this new generation of Captain Planet.
I mean, who? Hoggish Gridley?
And as it turns out, he is up to his old trick.
Plunder? Duke Nukem? The only like, here's the thing. The only recurring villain who would make sense would be someone who you didn't take very seriously in the first one. So it would have to be someone like Hoggish Gridley or Plunder. Dr. Blight was just a really bad scientist, so she could probably be in it, but I don't know. The problem with if you brought back Captain Planet was that, like, everything that we kind of took as a joke, like Dr. Blight was a bad scientist who basically made up shit in order to make pollution seem more acceptable. Like, you have that for real in now. I mean, this
Which
shit's
is
not funny. It's terrifying.
I was saying that's amazing.
But yeah, I would
Very
totally be
amazing.
down with a return to Captain Planet. Captain Planet, he's a
He's a
hero.
hero.
Gonna take pollution down
Take
to
pollution down to
zero.
zero.
Area 73
Okay.
says, I'd say Robotech, but I seriously doubt anyone can get it right. Voltron would also be nice to see brought back. They did bring back Voltron. I think it's on Netflix.
Actually, they brought him back twice.
Yeah, there was like a show in the 90s. Sorry, in the in the 2000s, and then they did a show in the 90s that was based off of. I mean, they did a show recently, and I think it's on Netflix. I think it was renewed. I haven't seen the Netflix one. I heard it's okay. Like my problem.
I'm telling you that right now. I'm the one that's seen it too.
My problem with Voltron is just that I prefer the animated Voltron, but the animation in Voltron was so fucking cheap, except for like certain scenes that it got ridiculous. I would rather see Robotech brought back if I had the choice between the two. But I would like the problem with Robotech is that Harmony Gold holds the rights to it, and we're never going to see Robotech in America except through Harmony Gold because they're just going to sit on it because they're fuckers. But personally, I liked Robotech more than AKA Macross. I like Macross more than I like Gundam. Because for me, Gundam keeps on retelling the same fucking story over and over and over again with minor variations. It's like, oh, how many times can I see the colonies fight the Earth?
I just remembered one other show that I would like to see shot, but it's probably the weirdest one out there, or at least one of the weirder ones.
Oh, which is it?
Now it's time to hit the road. First.
What?
Road Rovers.
Oh, you mean that show that had like 2 seasons, and like they had the dogs who became humanoid, and they had that one dog that was like a Rottweiler that was in like he was their secret weapon because
and all the scenes that had him attack somebody got censored.
Well, I mean, when you really think about it, that was kind of fucked up. That they had this one dog that the humanization thing didn't work, and it drove them crazy, and they had to keep them locked up. That's kind of fucked up. But I have to say, Road Rovers had one of the most like the season 1 finale was so fucked up. It was like for a show about these cartoon dogs, it was like, god damn, that's dark. Like, because the end of season 1 has the scientist who helped create all these semi-humanoid creatures, humanoid dogs. He basically tricks Parvo into opening a bomb, and he has this little thing that says, "Remember, Parvo, every dog has his day," and blows him up. Of course, he comes back for season 2, and you find out Parvo's secret. Parvo is a humanoid creature, but he's a cat. Like, that's why he's always coughing, because he's got a hairball.
Which is kind of a weird moment to realize.
Not really, because, I mean, cats are kind of evil anyway.
I mean, when you find out finally that he's a cat.
No, I mean, it was hinted at, because he's always coughing for no apparent reason, because he's got a hairball. He's like, lozenge, no, you're trying to cough up hair. Like, why are you still licking... to clean yourself. That's disgusting. But anyway,
Lozenge?
No, I was eating popsicles before the podcast began, and they're not good for me. But I said, "Fuck it, why not?"
I get you. Though, if anything, you probably missed the joke I made.
No, I know, but I wasn't gonna bite. You made the joke. I wasn't gonna bite. I was like, no, I'm not gonna go for it. Nope. Kenoshi, have you thought of a cartoon that needs to be brought back yet?
I'd like to see some of the. I remember watching some of the Disney cartoons like Aladdin. The Aladdin cartoon.
Yeah,
I think that cartoon is already wrapped up.
they could bring it back. Except it would be realistic. Aladdin, the cartoon. Aladdin spends the rest of the time just making sweet, sweet love to Jasmine. Aladdin, we gotta go on an adventure. Have you seen my wife? I'm not going on any.
It's real.
The only cave of wonders I'm exploring is right here in this bedroom. Genie,
Said.
Genie, soundproof this bedroom. You got it, Al. Yeah, Jasmine was hot. The anime Jasmine was hot. The real life Jasmine, not so much. Yeah, I'd be cool with another Aladdin.
Ms. Red Fox, you do realize that she is 15 in the animated version, right?
Yeah, but it's a fictional character. It's
so
a
that's
fictional character.
Boy.
What do I care? Not to mention.
This is from Team Rocket and Team Magma and Flare.
Not to mention that culturally speaking, at that time when that's supposed to take place, like 15 for a young woman was grown. Because there were girls who were in their 13, 14 years old getting married back then. So, I mean, shit. That's the time, man. What can I say, you know? Hell, there were girls that were 10, 11 years old in harems. So, I mean, shit. I'm just...
An interesting fact that probably was TMI for me.
Look, that's what was going on. Shit was rough back then. Aren't you glad we live in the modern age where people understand that some shit is too fucked up to be allowed? But if I was Aladdin, like I said, man, I would.
Makes me wonder how much stuff of that is still remaining.
I'd still be like, hey, man, I'm not shit. Why? I'm not fucking around. We gotta go on adventures. Why? Have you seen my wife? Look at me. I'm in good shape. She's in good shape. I ain't shit. Yeah. And besides, that joke was already made. There's an earthquake in the second Aladdin, and the genie's like, "What? An earthquake? The honeymoon hasn't happened yet." Even the genie's like, "Look, man, y'all gotta be smashing. That's it. Why are you here?" But yeah, like I said, Aladdin's good. I would like, a whole bunch of Disney cartoons need to be brought back, like Darkwing Duck. They brought back DuckTales, but the art style sucks. I think the hand-drawn art style they had back in the day was better.
I agree, though. If I have yet to see how is the animation, because it seems okay to me, at least as far as the modern time.
I mean, it's overly simplified so that they can get more frames out for cheaper, which I'm okay with. But here's my problem, okay? Technology is supposed to make shit better. If the animation from a TV show from the late 80s, early 90s is better than some shit that came out now, then there's something wrong with the shit that came out now. Cause I know the animation for the TV show wasn't always good, because basically TV shows back then, they would put a lot of money in the opening animation for the TV show. Like, look at the opening animation for Ghostbusters or DuckTales or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The actual show never looked that good. They blew their budget on the opening intro and then everything else. But if the opening intro of your shit looks that good, and then the main shit was like 20-30% lower. But now it's like the main intro is shit, and then the other shit is shit. It's like I don't care how good the writing is. I mean, you got to get me, like, basically back in the 90s and the 80s, you got us with the theme song. If the theme song was good and the opening animation was good, you had us. Even if the cartoon was shit. Like Jim wasn't that good, but man, that theme song was fire.
Holograms, right?
What?
Jim and the holograms, right?
Yeah, Jim and the holograms. Jim wasn't that good. I was a boy. I hated the actual cartoon, but that theme song was cool though.
Just for the record, I know I find the show terrible, but oh god, it could have used a lot more polish.
Yeah, like I said, but that theme song for Jim was fire. G.I. Joe had a cool theme song. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had a cool theme song. Ghostbusters. I mean, they bought the rights to that goddamn Ray Parker Jr. song, and they had it in every goddamn. Ghostbusters was consistently good until the fourth season where they made it Slimer featuring the Ghostbusters, which was fucking stupid. Like, no one, why would you make an entire cartoon
I was about
based
to
around
say
Slimer?
that was a shag. I mean, that was a.
Well, I mean, they tried to equate Slimer with Scooby-Doo, but Slimer isn't Scooby-Doo. Like, that's basically the
As I
problem.
said, I felt that was a Scrappy Doo moment.
I mean,
I bet you already have that idea of what happened with Scrappy Doo.
well, Slimer's not even he's not like Slimer wasn't as low tier as Scrappy Doo. He was an important character, but to build the entire series around him, that's where they fucked up. But that's just me. I got it. It's like building the entire series around Slimer was like if they released a new Scooby-Doo and the character they focused on was Fred. It's like Fred's an important character, but why would you put everything around Fred? Like, you know. I mean, before they did that, like each episode, like you had ensemble episodes where everyone was in it, and then you had certain episodes that focused on certain characters, like Egon, Ray, Venkman, Winston, Janine. You know, like everyone had their time to shine. Slimer had some where he got to shine. Like everyone had a time where they got to shine. And then the fourth season, they just all like, oh no, we got to make it about Slimer because he appeals to the kids. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, it worked because I still someplace in my house where I went and got my shit from my parents' house when I moved to my house. I still have my Ghostbusters toys, the Proton Pack, and the ghost traps, and the action figures. Yeah, I was a Ghostbusters fan. I had the toys.
Highly a Ghostbusters fan.
I had an Ecto 1 and 2. I did. I was the only toy I didn't have because I just couldn't because it was too expensive and my parents wouldn't get it for me. Was it was their base, the firehouse. But aside from that, I had everything else. Yes, I was a Ghostbusters fan. They could bring back Ghostbusters. They could bring back Ghostbusters if they wanted to, but Sony would probably fuck it up, just like they did that Ghostbusters 2016 movie. Because it's Sony.
You will never get tired of the 16 movie, will you?
I'll never get tired of kicking it while it's down. Yeah, no. Cause they basically went out of their way to fucking they did everything they want. They did everything to alienate the core fan base of Ghostbusters. They were like, well, we're gonna appeal to women. I have nothing against making a Ghostbusters movie that appeals to women, but how they did it was literally the worst way possible. And I'm not gonna go into it because this isn't a movie cast, but it's just not good.
Save it for next time, probably.
Yeah, maybe one day if I have some free time, we'll do a movie cast and talk about it, but not today. Any other old cartoons anyone wants to see brought back before we move on to movies that probably, movies / TV shows that they want to see brought back from the 80s or 90s?
Ooh, that one's a little trickier, but I'll let you go for that one.
All right. Well, I mean, they already brought back Magnum PI, and I haven't watched it because I saw a picture of the guy who's supposed to be the new Thomas Magnum, and he didn't have a mustache, and I was like, fuck that. Because in my mind, if you're Thomas Magnum, you have to have a mustache because anyone who's ever watched Magnum PI knows that Tom Selleck played that character, and he had this awesome mustache, like this awesome mustache, like this mustache that was so awesome that if he went into a bar with all hot women, he said, "Ladies, who wants a mustache ride?" Someone might take him up on it. That's
it was that
awesome.
good.
It was an awesome mustache. It was awesome. And they rebooted MacGyver. And the new guy who's playing MacGyver, I mean, the new MacGyver kind of sucks because the whole point of the original MacGyver was that, like, Angus MacGyver was this guy who used to be he's an Eagle Scout, used to, like, be an operative for the CIA or something, and, like, now he's a troubleshooter for the government. Like, when they need someone to do something in an unconventional way, they call Angus MacGyver, and he always was by himself, right? And now the new MacGyver has a team. And I'm like, you just fucked up the core reason that MacGyver worked, was because he was by himself and he had to use unconventional shit by himself to figure shit out. It's like, man, I'm trapped in a POW camp. Okay, I'm going to take this match. I'm going to take these matches and scrape the phosphorus off and make a little homemade bomb to blow up this lock so I can get out. Like, that was the cool shit about MacGyver. And then they fucked it up because they gave him a team where he's like, I'm going to call someone to help me. I'm like, that's not the point. So, like, everything I really want, they tried to do reboots for, and most of them have failed. Like Knight Rider, they tried to do a remake of it, and it sucked.
I think this is more towards the idea of which show do you want to see that to get it right, how many times getting it wrong.
Yeah, so okay, I got one. I got an old TV show that I think could be brought back. You know how everyone wants to do dark and gritty these days? You know, on TV they want dark and gritty.
Yes. It's called The Edge.
Yeah, everyone these days wants dark and gritty for their films, and TV shows. They want sex and violence. So, I thought of a TV show that was kind of hampered by the fact that it had sex and violence in it, but it was on, like, national TV, so it was on like cable. It was on pseudo premium cable, so they could never go the full Monty or be as explicit as they wanted. Farscape. Bring back Farscape. Because Farscape had some really, 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 really adult situations. And it's also had comedy. It also dealt with some really dark subject matter like genocide, war, the nature of some weapons are too horrific to be used. It was made by Rodney O'Bannon. If you guys don't know who Rodney O'Bannon is, he's the guy he's a sci-fi writer who did Sequest DSV. He controlled that project, which was basically Star Trek underwater. That's basically what it was. It was Star Trek underwater. So basically, yeah. Do Farscape. Bring back Farscape. You can put it on like Netflix or Amazon Prime or like something where you can have that R rating. You can set it like 100 years after the events of the original Farscape, so it can be dark and gritty, and people can, you could have the cussing. Because Farscape, like I said, had a lot of adult situations. It had rape, it had sex. It had forced pregnancy. It had weird sci-fi situations, and I mean, Farscape was pretty revolutionary because, like, it was in stark contrast to a lot of the other shows that were out around the same time. Like Star Trek. Like, if you've ever watched Star Trek always has people who are at the height of their profession, and are really competent. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, so-and-so's like, I'm a doctor, I'm the best at what I do, or, I'm a space lawyer, I'm the best space lawyer there is. Whereas Farscape, everyone's a fuck-up. And the one guy who isn't a fuck up, like on a genetic level, like he's so primitive that he still can't keep up with the other people. You know? Like the captain of the ship, Kadargo, is a criminal who he's a Luxon, which are they're these warriors who have really shitty strategy, but can go into Luxon rage, which basically makes them just fight until they're killed. You've got a Delvian, which are these plant hybrid people, these blue plant hybrid people, who do this thing called a union, which is it's this ceremony that's like they have mental and physical sex with someone, and it's supposedly like 1,000 times more pleasurable than anything else. But they're supposed to be really peaceful. She murdered a dude that she was in union with because he turned out to be a villain, but she went mad. Like she's a priest, but she's also a murderer and went crazy. It's like, oh damn, that's fucked up. There's an emperor who once ruled over like 300 planets, who was deposed by his cousin, and he's a sniveling coward weasel, played by a puppet, which is a Steve Henson, a Henson workshop puppet. There's a pilot for a peacekeeping organization who has been branded as a deserter. And the main character is a scientist / astronaut that got caught in a wormhole that took him to another galaxy, and he's a fuck up. Like there's an episode where this guy takes over their ship, and he's using the light of from these various devices to turn people crazy, and like the main character is the only character not going crazy, and they're like, well. It's like, how come it's not really affecting you? He's like, that's because I have good eyesight. It's like, no, you don't. What's that fountain say over there? He's like, it doesn't say anything. The joke's on you. They're like, you can't see the signs how to use that fountain. You're primitive. Ha ha ha. Good show. If you guys get a chance to watch it, it's on Amazon Prime. It's really good. But that's
might be interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, you have to get over the fact that. You have to get over the fact that the puppets in the show don't look that great, and the special effects aren't quite as good as they could be. But the thing about sci-fi is that you have to have a certain amount of imagination to let some shit go, because sci-fi, especially on TV at that time, was not always going to be good. You were going to get some shitty special effects sometimes. They're going to be fighting in a cave, because that's the cave they had the budget to get. So, you're going to have to deal with that shit, But that's neither here nor there. Anyone else have a
movie or show they want to bring it back?
Yeah. I mean, I would have said MacGyver, Knight Rider, or Magnum PI, but they already brought those back. So
I got one, but I'm not sure if it
would Defenders count. Because I still want a second season of it.
Defenders of the Earth or Defenders with Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, and Daredevil.
Daredevil, yes.
I mean, you can bring it up. It's not really... I mean, we were thinking 90s or 80s, but go ahead. Sure, why not? Defenders, why not?
All I just want is a second season so they could have their own Age of Ultron plot line.
I'm going to keep it real. I would rather have a Heroes for Hire, I would rather have a Heroes for Hire so that I can see what they have in the comics, which Luke Cage and Jessica Jones hook up, and they have a kid, like a baby. And Luke Cage and Iron Fist go on adventures together. Like, I'd rather have that, but the problem is that the guy who played Iron Fist was so fucking shitty that it helped torpedo the entire series.
I was about to say, you need a recast for some people, don't you?
I mean, not to mention Netflix kind of fucked up. Netflix kind of fucked up with the second seasons of a lot of those shows. Like the first season of Iron Fist was shit. I don't know. Jessica Jones was pretty good, but you know, it got shit canned after season 3. So, Kenoshi, you have one?
What was the show, or what was the question again?
Question was, what old 80s or 90s TV show would you like to bring back? Like something you grew up with, you were like, oh, that was kind of fun. I'd like to see that brought back in a way that's competent. You know, keyword competent.
Goosebumps. I mean, they already brought that back.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I like to see that get brought back.
Or how about this?
Back then the animations and stuff were kind of cheesy, but it was still entertaining to watch.
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
That's also another good one.
That was one of the shows I was going for.
Yeah. No, you can still take it. I mean,
Goodness, I at least got more.
All right.
I honestly liked Are You Afraid of the Dark a bit more than Goosebumps.
Yeah, because Goosebumps got kind of cheesy. But Are You Afraid of the Dark? Some of them were legitimately like, that's fucked up. Because Goosebumps, it always worked out at the end. Some of those Are You Afraid of the Dark ones were like, it did not work out. Like that kid was gone. You know, it's like, that is fucked up, man. You're gone. You dead. You ain't gonna come back. You ain't making it out of this.
Remember, those are campfire tales.
Yeah.
You don't know how.
Yeah, it was kind of fucked up. But go ahead. You have anything else, Kenoshi?
No, that's it.
Okay.
I got one though. As I
Jewel?
said, it's kind of left field because it probably wouldn't work in even today's ideals. Either all that or the Roundhouse.
The Roundhouse. I was
Yeah.
with you until you said the Roundhouse.
I said all that or the Roundhouse.
They already brought back all of that, but the Roundhouse.
And I'm saying, and I said that
think it was
because
pretty bad.
I'm not sure how many random variety shows are that good and are able to be reached out to everyone.
How about In Living Color? I'd
I
rather
was
take
iffy
In
about
Living
it,
Color
so
brought
excuse
back.
me that one.
I would rather have In Living Color brought back than the Roundhouse. Do
As
what
I
you
said-
wanna do. In Living Color, homie, don't play that. In
Yeah,
Living
this is
Color.
the reason why I said iffy, because how some people would react.
Yeah, for those of you who are listening who don't know what In Living Color is, In Living Color was a TV show in the 90s. It was basically the pre-Mad TV. It was created by Keenan Ivory Wayans. Keenan Ivory Wayans made one of the most successful black independent films in the 80s called I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Made a lot of money, and so Fox saw, oh shit, that made a lot of money. Let's give him some money to make his own variety show, skit/variety show. It's called In Living Color. And it's had Tommy Davidson, David Allen Greer, a young Jim Carrey, except back then he was called James Carrey. And it was just really fucking funny. It was hilarious. It had really good skits, politically incorrect skits, but funny as hell. And it was good. It had a rotating cast.
And I gotta admit, you're right. If it is a good show, it's just that I used Roundhouse because of how many people would take that show.
All right. Oh, yeah. And, I mean, all that's a good choice because all that was like Saturday Night Live for kids. Except some of the skits were not funny, but some of them were really funny. Like, I liked all that in the first 3 or 4 seasons, and then when all the original cast members aged out of it and they got new people, like, I didn't really give a shit about the new people, like Gabriel Iglesias, who's younger than I am, but he looks old as fuck. Uh,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, I was like, nah, man, I can't. That second season, but the beginning was pretty good. Keenan Kel, that girl who had who did the awesome Ross Perot impersonation. It's like, can I
Oh,
finish? Can I finish? That's hilarious.
some of that is just out there.
Amanda Bynes was pretty damn funny in all that too. Like, people forget she actually was really good at comedy when she was a kid. But yeah, that'd be cool. You know what else would be awesome to be back?
Before she lost her mind.
Before she lost her damn mind,
Yep.
was Double Dare. Double Dare and Guts and Legends of the Hidden
You have
Temple.
it?
Yeah, bring back those three things, especially Guts, because as many fat ass kids as we have now,
Yeah.
and really encourage kids to get up and do shit again. You know, have it, Guts. You gotta climb
I'll
the
make a
aggro, Craig.
I'll make a bad joke if you keep on going there.
Well, as many fat ass kids we have,
Cause-
yeah, they got guts and fat ass kids. This is just an aside. Is there any? I mean, am I the only one who, like, if I go to a restaurant and I see, like, if I go to a restaurant and I see a morbidly obese person eating, I get mad. Like, I'm
I
like,
get mad, but I kind of don't want to eat there.
I'm like, your fat ass shouldn't be eating at this damn restaurant, and especially if they're eating something that clearly they shouldn't be eating. Like you know, they're like you know, okay, like I'm overweight, but I'm not morbidly obese. Like, I can look down, see my legs, I can see my crotch. I've been losing weight. I'm in good. I can, you know, I don't have to change my wardrobe to get bigger because I'm fat as hell. But I went out to eat this place, this really awesome steakhouse. And it's like the way the steakhouse is set, there's like all these other places that you walk past in order to get there. And there's this place that's like a all-you-can-eat buffet where they have like a really nice buffet. And it's a great place to go for breakfast brunch because they do like fresh omelets and waffles and shit like that. But I'm passing there and for their lunch slash like late lunch, early dinner thing. And there's this dude, and he is just like he looked like a human Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah,
And he
see those at work.
and he had one of those those chairs, not like one of those power chairs, you know, where you don't want to walk, so you just drive around in that shit. And he clearly walked to get in that chair because it was the mall's chair. It wasn't his chair. And I'm like, man, what the fuck are you? Like, I didn't say this. Like, in my head, I'm like, why are you here? Like, why are you? You don't need to be. And I looked at his plate, and he had like, it was piled with shit. I'm like, dude, you don't need to be eating this.
I was about to say, at least place else.
God damn, dude. Don't do this. You should be eating a salad. A salad with a light vinaigrette. Not even olive oil. It's like, not even with like a really good, like maybe like lemon juice, the zest of the lemon, some salt, some pepper, a little bit of sugar, or honey, and maybe a light olive oil. And that's your vinaigrette. And then a good a strong bracing leafy green, dark leafy green like chicory or a peppery shit, I forgot the name of it. But something that's got some real nutritional value, and just eat that. And if you want a lean protein, dude, you don't need to be eating that shit here. No, man. I got mad. I was like, I can't. Like, you like, they need to. Okay, tangent over. I just had to get that off my chest. I'm sorry.
I get it, but you know, I'm not gonna sit here and rant about what people should do with their diets or not. It's not necessarily my concern. If they want to eat crap and kill themselves,
Yeah.
they're gonna eat crap and kill themselves.
Well, I
I'm not
mean,
gonna sit here and try to save people from
you're right.
eating
It's
radioactive waste.
you're right. It's not my
Because
concern, but I mean, like, okay, if I saw someone trying to eat shattered glass, I would say something. Because that's essentially what you're doing when you're morbidly obese eating fatty foods. And I understand. Biologically speaking, we are preconditioned to like fatty, sugary, starchy foods. All right? We're biologically conditioned to like shit like that. Because, it was a survival mechanism back when we were roaming the plains hunting shit. But, like, we don't have to live like that anymore. You don't have to eat like that anymore. You don't have to do it. And it's just like, I'm like, damn. I mean, I'm not. It's not like I'm going up to someone and being like knocking the food out their hands. No, you fat son of a bitch. But in my head, I'm like, God damn, dude, don't. Come on, man. It's like when I see a young person smoking cigarettes. I'm like, come on, man, don't do that. Fucking up your lungs.
I was gonna make the joke that watching the toy industry try Star Wars again. It's like, man, you already on a sinking ship. Stop trying that.
Well, I mean, now this is what I heard. I heard that Disney is sitting on a factory filled with Star Wars toys that they cannot sell. They're sitting on a factory filled with, a warehouse filled with Rays and Kylo Rens and like a whole bunch of toys that people just aren't buying. Which I can't say I'm surprised because the new Star Wars really apparently doesn't appeal to small children. Which is, not surprising. But that's neither here nor there. So I guess everyone said their stuff. So anyone have anything else they want to say before we get to the end of the podcast?
I think I'm alright.
Okay. Anyone? Okay. What have you guys been playing?
I've been on and off thinking about getting back into other card games, and well, think thinking of seeing how much Magic has, though not trying to go into Magic Arena because oh god, how simplified they made it there.
All right. Kenoshi, what you been playing?
Oh,
I
well,
haven't really been playing much of anything lately.
as for me,
I
that's
plan on. Might either pick up Astro Chains at the end of the month, but I'm not sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
as for me, see, me and the rest of the mods in Video Game Facts are trying to see if we could get our website running on WordPress. As the owner has decided to work on it because originally we were going to he was planning on doing it, making it through Blogger, but then he changed his mind. But then one of our mods suggested to use WordPress instead.
All right. Well, I guess I got to talk about what I've been playing. Well, I through various means got my hands on. Well, actually, no, I'm just gonna keep it real. The game that I said I was gonna get, I got the Epic Game Store to get. I got, and it's Rogue Galaxy Outlaw. Because I had the first game, and I was like, fuck it, I really want this game because it's a space sim where you're out flying in space. I mean, it's a space arcadey space game where you're flying around blowing shit up and doing missions and shit like that. It's got RPG mechanics and shit like that. And you know, like I liked the first game, and I was like, I'll be damned if I'm not gonna play the second one. And I didn't feel like waiting until it hit the Switch or the PS4 or the Xbox One. So I said,
You're
fuck.
essentially a space trucker in that game, aren't you?
Oh, the first one
That's
you
the
were. The first one you were a space trucker, and this one you have a little. You're inside of a little fighter, so it's more like a wing commander. Whereas the first game was like your space trucker. So I was like, shit, I gotta get this because it's fucking like, you know, I love this game. I love the first game, and I like double damage, and I got the second one. I'm like, shit, I'm getting it, and I did. So there'll be probably some gameplay of that coming up sometime soon. Some you know, screenshots and shit like that. Let's see, anything else? Oh, that's right. Got to pimp some stuff out. So this is Mr. Red. If you want to reach me, you can reach me on mrredfoxbsbusters@gmail.com or at Twitter at Matthew Wesley at mrredfox91. I will probably try to have a questionathon before the end of April. So look forward to that.
And if you want to join the podcast, I mean, there's an email for that too.
Yeah. If you want to join the podcast or you have podcast suggestions, as long as it's not a suggestion, take your podcast and shove it up your ass or some shit like that. I can't help you with that one. I'm sorry, but like normal suggestions, like on how to make the podcast better or suggestions on topics to cover or news topics, you can send them to those two emails or the Twitter. So with that being said, that's the end of the podcast. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe. That being said, peace, good night, and we're out.
Go ahead, you already got